All right. Good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. I wanted to do the stream earlier this morning, and then I woke up a little bit later than I intended to wake up. And then there were certain thumbnails that I wanted to use for this stream, and then PowerPoint wasn't working correctly in creating my JPEGs. So here we are. So this is not going to be a long stream. I'm looking at about a half hour, but as I was thinking about topics to go over for this week, I thought this would be interesting. Thank you to everyone who supported the stream on Tuesday night regarding doctoral training in the biomedical sciences. I appreciate the support there. I appreciate all of the support that I get here. If you're new to the channel, if you um, were brought here by some of the shorts that I've done, please subscribe. Some of the stuff is long form, some of the stuff is short form. And I'm realizing that today, and those of you out there in viewer land, you know that a big consideration for content creators today is watch time. How long can viewers sit and watch something? And we know that with the advent of apps like TikTok, some viewers can't watch content for too long. So let me see who's here. Gold, P, Ruthless, peace to everyone. Thank you for being here, sir. Let me go to the YouTube side. Thank you to everyone who liked this before the stream started. I apologize if I did not start exactly when I said I was going to start. There were some technical things happening. Okay. Please smash that like button. I'm going to share this over on my original channel. I'm going to play the intro, and then I am going to start. Give me a moment here. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about electric cars. I'm sure we all know that's a popular topic now, and a lot of people are pondering getting electric cars. And there is, from our political class and from aspects of the science community, there is encouragement for everyone to get, well, for as many people possible to get electric vehicles. But as I will describe in this piece I'm going to read, there is not a 100% consensus on whether or not these vehicles are the best way to go. I'm not telling anyone to not get one. I'm not telling anyone that these vehicles are wrong. I've had guests on talking about alternative fuel sources and electric vehicles, and I do plan to have a guest in about 2 weeks. She has an electric vehicle business, but on my channel, I want a balanced perspective, and there are not everyone is on board with this. And I saw a video months ago. There's another gentleman named Scotty something or other. He does all cars, all car technology stuff. He did a video about electric vehicles and the drawbacks of them and the potential issues with them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Let me share this. Let's see. Yeah, guys, I'll play the intro. I'll share this, and then when I come back, I'll hop in. Aquateki, thank you for showing up. Gold Professor, yes. Aquateki, thank you. Scotty Kilmer, Scotty Kilmer, Scotty Kilmer. He did a nice video on electric cars and why they may not be the be all and the end all. Complex design. Thank you for showing up. It's early on the West Coast, I imagine. It's 10 o'clock, 10:30 here. So it's about 7:30 on the West Coast. All right. I'll play the intro and then I'll see you guys on the other side. All right. Thank you to those of you who are here. It looks like there are some people who are interested in electric cars. Complex, I know we talked about micro mobility, and I think this might fall under that. But so electric cars. So before I say that, there's a lot happening in the science world. I and this is just one thing. I created a short yesterday on and some of these topics you got to step lightly around, in my opinion, because just the times that we live in. But I did create a short yesterday on the gender transitioning surgeries. It turns out I did go see Flash last night at the AMC, and so it turns out that the AMC theaters they're gonna host or they hosted a 1 day documentary of the medical realities of those procedures, and it's called I think it's called No Way Back. The short is there in my library if you want to take a look at it. And the article is pinned beneath that short. And I'm just saying this to say that there's a lot happening in the science world, and this is just one thing. I'm looking for a picture. Give me a moment here. There's my planet Earth. Okay, why why this topic? Okay, well, a big deal now is what's happening to our planet Earth. Are we as human beings destroying the Earth through anthropogenic climate change? Are we spewing so many uh, greenhouse gases into the atmosphere that we're eventually going to burn the earth up? That's the question right now. There's a lot of debate over this. You have groups like the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I've got that memorized. The IPCC saying that, yeah, we're throwing so many greenhouse gases up into the atmosphere that we're going to kill the earth and kill ourselves and kill everything. And then you have other groups saying that carbon dioxide is a natural substrate for photosynthesis and the plants love it. So it's not so bad. And so, and then you have other groups saying we need to completely switch over to electric vehicles. And then you have some groups saying we need a mixture of everything: electric, hydrogen, biodiesel, and we need to make a slow and steady progress to get away from combustion engines. So this is a science channel. So before I read this short piece for review, a combustion reaction is when you take a fuel source, a hydrocarbon fuel source, and you basically ignite that, right? That releases heat energy. And for a combustion engine, that heat energy moves those pistons, and those turn the crankshaft, and those turn your wheels. So a popular theory today is that since we have so many of those on the planet, we're killing the planet, and we're hurting the planet, and we're destroying the futures of, well, whatever people will be left. We know that most Western countries are at negative replacement, but so whoever will be left, what kind of Earth will they have? So a so there's a strong case for electric vehicles, and of course, one of the concerns is who can afford them now. Only a few people can afford them since they cost so much. And then the next question is it worth it? Are they worth it? By the way, guys, I don't have a super chat over here or AdSense yet. These are science topics. These are not celebrity gossip. These are not gender relations related issues. This is not sports. So if you want to make a donation to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are there. Okay, Complex Design says these are more industrial-based mandates. More than anything, there's not much difference in carbon emissions from exhaust gases versus mineral mining for battery chemistries. Okay, so that's the part I think a lot of people don't see. Let me read this piece, Complex. Thank you for that. If you have more insight into this, please let me know as we go along. This is not a long piece. And this is going to start off with a bit of humor because of the individual this piece focuses on. Please smash that like button if you haven't. And every time I log on to Microsoft Edge, I get articles of all kinds, and this one caught my eye earlier this week. And I promise this is a short one. This one is from the Washington Examiner, and it's entitled Mr. Bean star Rowan Atkinson says he feels duped by electric vehicles. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Mr. Bean. I never watched Mr. Bean. I did watch Rat Race. Rat Race had uh, Rowan Atkinson in it. Cuba Gooding Jr. was in that. It was a comedy in the early 2000s. I think my knee was blown out. I blew out my knee in 2001, and it was released in 2001. But he's a British comedic actor. Yeah. So for those unfamiliar with him, but most actors, even though they're comedians, Many of them end up being really, really smart people. So this is by Jack Burrow. It was written on June 4th. Okay. Rowan Atkinson, best known for playing Mr. Bean, says he feels duped by electric vehicles, specifically regarding their environmental impact. So once again, anyone looking at this who's unfamiliar, I'm not telling you to buy one. I'm not telling you not to buy one. I'm just presenting the information. As with most things, there are multiple sides to this discussion. Rowan Atkinson, best known for playing Mr. Bean, says that he feels duped by electric vehicles, specifically regarding their environmental impact. Atkinson, in op-ed for The Guardian, detailed how he has enjoyed his time with his electric vehicles, but that he believes they are not as environmentally friendly as advertised. Electric vehicles may be a bit soulless, but they're wonderful mechanisms, fast, quiet, and until recently, very cheap to run. But increasingly, I feel a little duped. When you start to drill into the facts, electric motoring doesn't seem to be quite the environmental panacea it is claimed to be, Atkinson wrote for the outlet. So, panacea, you see that word sometimes. Panacea is a word meaning the be all and the end all, the total solution, the complete solution to the problem. So he's saying that these electric vehicles are not a panacea for this whole issue. All right. The British actor brings up a proposal by the UK government to ban the sale of gas powered cars by 2030, but cautioned against such measures due to the current shortcomings of electric vehicles, including the batteries required to power them. The problem with them lies with the lithium ion batteries fitted currently to nearly all electric vehicles. They're absurdly heavy. Many rare earth metals and huge amounts of energy are required to make them, and they only last about 10 years. It seems a perverse choice of hardware with which to lead the automobile's fight against the climate crisis, he wrote. So I have a well, this is the thumbnail for this, just so you all can see. You know that a combustion engine, there's a gas tank at the rear of the vehicle, and the gas goes through to the front of the engine. This is the thumbnail for this stream, so you guys can see what these vehicles look like in terms of their design. And this is not anything that hasn't been said already. Aquateki mentioned Scotty Kilmer. Scotty Kilmer's created content on this, and that is one of the questions about this technology. Oh, I gotta find my diagram. There it is. So this is a diagram of a diagram for electric cars. And here in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, you're seeing these power these charging stations. You're seeing them sprout up all over the place, and it's similar to a combustion engine. There's the receptacle for the charge is right there at the rear, similar to a gas tank. You plug it up, it looks like the battery is right there. The batteries seem to sit underneath the chassis. Is that the right term? The chassis of the vehicle. and then the motor, similar to a combustion engine, is at the front of the vehicle. So, and complex, if you know what makes these vehicles so heavy, is it the battery? Are the batteries that heavy? Is that, but that's a main criticism and issue of these vehicles. They are substantially heavier than the combustion engines. And so I think Scotty covered this in his video. If one of these vehicles collides with something else, with another vehicle, they will potentially cause greater damage than if a combustion engine collides with another vehicle. So these are things that are not being discussed in every sector, but these are important things. Okay. Um, so he discusses how a future for hydrogen energy and a shift toward people keeping the same car for long periods of time can make electric vehicles environmentally friendly replacements for gas powered cars. Increasingly, I'm feeling that our honeymoon with electric cars is coming to an end, and that's no bad thing. We're realizing that a wider range of options need to be explored if we're going to properly address the very serious environmental problems that our use of the motor car has created, Atkinson said. Atkinson says that when he is asked if others should get an electric car, he says they should if they drive an old diesel and they do a lot of city center motoring, but otherwise to hold off. Electric propulsion will be a real global environmental benefit one day, but that day has yet to dawn, he concluded. So, you guys, as promised, a short piece, but I thought a significant one nonetheless. And this is a current topic. Complex. Do you feel like saying a few words? I'll drop the link if you want to come up. I have a few more. I can hang out for about 20 more minutes. If you want to come up, I'll drop the link. And you know more about these things than I do when you're in the micro mobility space. So I'll drop the link right now. You can come up and talk to us about what you think about any of this. And thank you to Suntouched for the generous Cash App. I appreciate that. Right now, I still have my Kia Forte. I was fortunate that someone in the YouTube streets had their Kia stolen this week. I was fortunate to get my Kia back, but I'm still using petroleum. Complex. Good morning.
Hey, give me 1 second. I need to mute the YouTube feed because I'm getting feedback. Give me a second.
All right. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm still using uh, petroleum products. So I'm still putting some carbon dioxide back in the atmosphere. So I guess I'm arguably part of the problem. What's going on, Complex?
Okay. Okay. Is everything good now?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, man. Good morning, man. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good. So what was the question that you had?
Well, I said that I know you're pretty knowledgeable in this field. You know, you're in the micromobility space. So if you got anything you want to add to this,
Oh,
yeah, any
yeah,
thoughts?
yeah, yeah. I've always been a person that says that everything should be used. I don't think one should be replacing another, right? I think it's a brother. I think it's Will at 3R. I'm trying to figure out how to say his name. We were just having an exchange before I came up, and I was saying that I was it wasn't like an argument or anything, but I think he kind of got the point I was saying. Um, you know, electric cars are pragmatic, but I think what's not pragmatic is to push mandates to then remove uh, traditional vehicles in the name and the sake of climate change. I don't believe in that. And I'm in the EV sector. This is kind of my wheelhouse, what I do, right? I don't believe that at all. And there's just like a number of reasons. I could run them down the list. Just infrastructurally speaking, you're not set up for it, right? You're really not. And I could get into the reasons why they're trying to push those types of mandates, because it is very much industrial, and it has to do with countries like China, for example, that really do have a leg up in the EV market. I'm trying to remember the channel. I saw this video on just a couple of days ago, where they have like just fields of electric vehicles that are just deteriorating because all those vehicles were pegged to actually get shipped over here to the U.S. So prior to Trump becoming president, when he put the embargo on China, and he blocked EVs from coming in back in 2018, 2019, if I recall. So that put the kibosh on that. And then what it did was it gave U.S. companies, I guess, the time to try to ramp this up, right? So, but the argument though is that this is all needed for the sake of climate change, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, dude. Mining is like one of the dirtiest businesses you can be in. Where do they get the magnesium and the uranium and the cobalt and the all those rare earth minerals, right, to make the battery chemistries? That's a very dirty business to do all that. Then it's making the batteries themselves. There's a lot of toxic waste that's produced from making batteries. So it's like when you add it up, you don't actually really see any sort of equalization of carbon emissions from switching from an EV as opposed to using a traditional vehicle. You kind of don't, right? Because you also have to consider where the energy came from to charge the car. Okay, some states, they may be using nuclear. They may be using, some places may still be using coal power. In California, it's a few things. We have hydroelectric, we have solar. We have, I think there's a nuke plant somewhere. I think so. So there's a mix of energy sources, but those all have their emissions issues, right? So the question is, it's kind of like a rabbit hole. Think about every source that you're using. There's usually some sort of emissions effect. Okay, even if you're using solar panels, well, what was used to make the panels, and what happened to all of the waste and everything that took place to make the panels to then source green energy, right? It's kind of it's a little bit of a ruse, if you want my honest opinion.
Okay, I was just looking for my my periodic table because
Mm-hmm.
when you mentioned rare earth metals, uh, that actually means something. That's not just a term that people are pulling out of
No,
the
no.
sky. Give me a second here.
Yeah, yeah.
Go Professor.
We're
I
not
see
talking.
you. Yeah, I see you backstage. Give me a sec. I'm just looking for my. Got so many pictures in here.
Yeah, we're not talking about lead acid batteries anymore.
But complex. The fascinating thing is that with a battery, by virtue of it being a battery, it can run out of power.
Yeah.
So I think that's something the energy input people need to think about, and what you just described is not. Uh, there are certain parts of arguments and discussions that are not always brought to the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of them.
I think maybe something else you could be kind of hinting or alluding to is charging infrastructure as well, right?
Hmm.
The accessibility to electric power, right, to charge a vehicle. Unless you embed EV charging stations into your pre-existing fueling station infrastructure, which would make sense, right? Then you would have something that would kind of address that, but still there's the time for the charge. There's all these other factors, basically.
Okay. Everyone, so when we mention rare earth metals, there are that's a so there's the periodic table of elements. Okay, so there's a lot of chemistry involved in this, a lot of general chemistry, and there are specific elements on this table that are used to make those batteries, and those have to be mined, those have to be unearthed, and those elements have certain properties. So there's energy expended just creating the batteries.
hmm hmm And then there's also battery degradation to take into account, right?
Hmm.
Batteries, as they go through the charging cycles, they lose they degrade, they lose their capacity, right? So like Teslas, depend. It kind of depends. I've seen various battery tests that they've done on them, and they performed very well, especially like Teslas that are like 10 years old, and the batteries have maybe only degraded like 10%,
Hmm.
which is actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Now my benchmark on all this type of stuff is Apple with the iPhone, right?
Hmm.
So the benchmark on that one is essentially once a battery reaches 80%, or I'm sorry, 20% degradation. So that means basically every time you charge it to full capacity, you're actually only charging it 80%, right? Because 20% is lost to degradation, right? You just bad cells here, and there within the pack, and it adds up at a certain point. And now once you get to that point, basically you're just losing range, you're losing performance, you're losing everything, and there's no way to really kind of recapture that. Whereas like with a traditional internal combustion engine, you can always freshen up the heads, replace the gaskets. You could do work on the motor, right, and get the performance back up. So that's one of the cons when it comes to EVs, is that once you have like battery degradation and stuff like that, and that starts to take into effect, there's not you can't really return, you can't get that back. You can do battery conditioning, and that's what that is just sort of maximizing the pack as it exists. But once it starts degrading, that's pretty much it, right? And so now we're looking at two questions here. So do you spend a crap ton of money for a new battery? And then two, well, this is just more e-waste.
Hmm.
Now, people they buy Tesla packs. I see this all the time on YouTube. They'll buy Tesla packs, tear them down, use certain modules in them and stuff. They'll test them. Oh, that one's no good. This one's good. And that one's no good. This one's good. And then they'll like send those off, and somebody will break those modules down and pull off the individual cells, test each one, and maybe keep the good ones, and then take the. You get what I mean? It's like this whole sort of, there is a waste factor to EVs, and this is never talked about.
Hmm. All right, go professor. Welcome. Do you have anything to add to this discussion?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Um, with this conversation, I can appreciate this conversation. Now, from the start, I'm gonna say, I'm not a scientist. Okay. Um, I am not one who understands completely uh, the process of putting these cars together and whatever have you. Okay. Now, with that being said, I am of age, meaning I'm 54. So I've seen things uh, in evolution, let's say. And you guys remember I put in the chat that we started out with this conversation the same way with cell phones. You remember the cell phone had this kind of way. It was the bulky big phone. Then over time, it became fine tuned. Now you can put that thing in your pocket. You can, yeah, so many things that come along with it. So I apply that same mindset to the electric car. You know, over time, it will better. Now, will there be continuous um, um, issues here and there? Sure, there will. Just like cars uh, that are combustible, right? That's true. Okay, but with that also being said, this is a people thing. It's not, because people will make their decision of what they will buy. Okay, people will make that decision. You know, everybody's not going to get an electric car. Why? It's because people can appreciate the classic Cadillac, the 1964, the six deuce, and all that. Right? Everybody's not going to rock with that. I think this is just something that people say, oh, you know, it's the new thing. Let's go with it. Just as we did with cellular phones, just like we did with tablets, just like we did with the basic laptop or the. Remember, we started out with DOS, then we came with Windows, right? It's a people thing. Now,
Well,
how do you get people to uh, say, hey, no, this is the better thing, when there are many people who have different kinds of ideas about what is being put out there?
Go Pete. In California, they've mandated, right? So right now, there's a mandate on the books that by 2030 there will be no more sales of gas vehicles.
I understand
Okay,
that. Now, with
right,
that
right.
being said,
So it's
uh,
what I just wanted to make a
go
point
ahead,
to
go
that
ahead,
is that
go ahead.
it's right now in the market, it is a people
Yeah,
choice right now. Okay, but see,
yeah.
California is saying otherwise.
Well,
They're telling people in the future what we're gonna have to do, right? And
okay.
so
Well,
that's
this is. I'm in California. I understand. The actual mandate, it says 2035, but okay. The problem with that, in which I put in the chat as well, the problem with that is people travel in and out of Cali. Okay, Cali tries to stay ahead of the game perceivably. But when you have Cali known to be a travel place or a place of tour, right? It's like, for example, people want to come out here to the beaches and stuff, or from other states.
Mhm.
Well, other states aren't going to be supposedly as caught up to things in Cali. So, but people still want to come to Cali. What do you do about those people? Does that mandate apply to them who are coming to Cali,
Well,
in and out of
that's
Cali?
that's a question for Gavin Newsom, not me, right? Because I don't
Okay, I
think
got you. I got you. But
yeah, because
but you
see,
see my point
I'm a
though.
person. No, I came up here earlier to say that I actually think that what's supposed to be is pretty much kind of like a mixed market. Just like right now,
Right,
you have TDI, you have turbo diesel
right,
injection
right,
engines, you got regular turbo engines, regular natural aspirated engines, you got hybrids, you also have hydrogen, even.
right,
Right,
right.
you got the new Hyundai N70 Vision N74, I think it's called. It's this real sleek, real trick hybrid supercar that they built. It looks like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, but like a legit car. It is badass, and it's got a hydrogen. It's a hydrogen hybrid. Okay. See, so if you were to ask my own opinion, what you do is you just make it open, right? You make it open,
I
and
agree with
so
you on that.
that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I'm saying, what's actually taking place is the government is saying this. See, so when you ask me that question, I'm like, ask
Well,
Gavin
well,
Newsom.
well. That question is not directed towards you per se. I'm saying in general, right?
I know, and I'm
Cali,
saying, but
Cali,
that question has to literally be directed towards the politicians, right? Because look, I'll tell you right now, man. What's also strange to me is that in the micromobility sector, right, we don't have access to the type of monies that are being appropriated to the EV sector when we technically are an EV sector. See, so you can get a $7,500 rebate. You can get where you can get that. Okay, you get the $7,500 rebate, and then there's something else you get from the federal government. So it totals up to maybe like close to like $15,000, $20,000 that you get from the government if you go and buy a Tesla. Now,
Okay.
in my view, I'm like, you know what people could actually use? Keep your gas car, get an electric bike, and use those for your short trips. That's an electric vehicle that you should actually use, right? The packs are smaller, the motors are smaller, less
Yeah, but
problems.
this is once again, it goes back to what I originally said. This is a people thing. Okay. No matter what the government says, yeah, they can mandate it, but there's also a process. There's always when that process takes place, well, who knows what happens in 2035? You know,
Well, no, 2030,
we're not
2030,
there yet. Hold on,
20,
hold on,
well, hold on,
hold on,
2030,
hold on,
2030.
hold on. We're not there yet in 2035. There's a process. Will it take place? Who knows? It depends on really who's making more of the decisions in this. Okay.
Okay,
Now, we know that people will decide what will be valid and what will not. Who will buy what and who will buy. It's just like my original analogy, the cell phone. There are people who still rock with the flip phone. What they do, they redesign the flip phone from its original one.
yeah,
Now we have this not, and that cell phone isn't taken off like it was back when it was originally introduced. That's all
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying, what I'm saying, consumer choice does not trump government mandate. It never has and it never will. It's like saying you want to go ahead and manufacture a car, but what you don't want to do is do it to DOT standards. And I'm saying that, well, government mandate will prevent that from happening. So this is what, and for the record, 2030 is the year where dealerships can no longer sell strictly internal combustion engine vehicles. It has to be hybrid or electric. Okay, that means
Okay.
they're going to start taking internal combustion engines off the lots as vehicles for sale in 2030. 2035, they're saying we want all gas vehicles off. If it's not hybrid or any other type of you know, alternative, then it can't be on the road. That's what the mandate actually says for California.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay. Yeah.
So, gentlemen,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I want to interject one thing, and I'll hang out for 10 more minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
I think also keep in mind there's the consumer aspect, buying personal vehicles, and also there's this introduction of electrification into bus fleets,
Mm-hmm.
and also they're looking to spread this to other vehicle types like boats. Geez, I don't know if you'll ever be able to make an electric airplane, but it goes beyond personal vehicles. So,
Indeed. Indeed.
it also applies to okay. So let's talk about the mandate a little bit more, because I know starting next year. So like if you're a gardener in California, right? You have to use electric gardening tools. Yeah.
Okay. But once again, you can mandate things all day. There are mandated gun laws. But what do we see with people and guns? You see my point.
No, I see your point, but I'm speaking from literally an industrial angle. Like one of the first comments I put in the chat when Dr. Dunbar started this live stream was that all of these mandates and these things that we're talking about are industrial based. Like me personally, bro, I don't get into sort of like the social aspect of it for the most part. I look at it. See, if we're to ask the question about electric vehicles, right, and why they are to be incorporated into our transportation infrastructure to such an extent that they want to start to replace other things, I have to ask the question, well, why would that be? And it has everything to do with industry, right? And I'm saying it's industry who creates the mandates. I mean, like I'm saying, I get it, dude. People are gonna have their feelings. Look, I have plenty of neighbors that have Teslas and stuff, even a couple Rivians, right? I see them out here, and you're right. It's a personal choice. But then when you look at where government comes in and says, okay, by this date we're doing this, and by this date we're doing this, it begs the question why.
Well, Well, I get your point as far as industrial position, right? And
Yeah.
the government's position on it, right? But if we're to look at it from a historical point, it goes back to what I said. They said a lot about cell phones. They said I give you even more of an example. You know, they said a lot about mandating internet. But where are we at with that? That's my point. This is government.
The internet is heavily regulated. That's
Okay,
what we're
but yeah, it's. I'm not talking about the necessarily the regulation of it.
But
Okay,
that's the
I'm saying
government. That's the
people.
government participation in it. When
Okay,
like I said, once
but
again, the regulation, the
I get
mandates,
you.
what they say
What
is
I'm saying is, hold on, sir. What I'm saying is, uh, if these things were so followed the way they should be, then we wouldn't have the dark web. We wouldn't have all the other things that can go counter against that. I'm saying that there's always going to be something. It boils down to a people thing, and
what it's
people in the government are making decisions, but they think it's going to work, and people are just going to follow. Not when you're dealing with people and decisions.
here's what it is. With the dark web, all that is, that's just the original internet. When you really think about it, most of your activities that you conduct on the internet are run off of apps that run on the internet. And see, so there's a layer separate from that dark web. I'm throwing that in air quotes because that's just the regular internet. There's still ways to access it. The regulation happens in all of the applications and stuff that data mine for the things that you do search for, right? That's
Okay.
why Mark Zuckerberg was always in Senate hearings with Facebook, the people that TikTok, talking to Senator Hawley just a couple months ago, right? Where he
Okay.
grilled them and
Okay.
said basically he was just like, hey, well, look, is the information that's being data mined going to the CCP, Chinese government? And ultimately they have to say, well, listen, it's possible, right? See, so
Okay.
I'm very familiar with the dark web infrastructure and all that. I'm saying though is that what you're saying is what you currently have right now, and that is kind of like free market choice. You
Uh-huh.
have that currently. I'm saying though, behind this though, there is a government mandate type of situation that they've been trying to put in play with regards to vehicles. And so that's the thing that I'm looking at as somebody in the industry. Part of it is that, well, why, instead of doing that, why don't you funnel some more down to the micro mobility sector? Because if you really want to know where the climate change impact happens, it's on the micro level. It's not going to be on that level. It's not.
Well, if
That's why my
people,
position is very nuanced on this.
well, either way it go, it's a whether there is people up in government in high places, quiet places, or people in the public eye, meaning us, low supposedly, people who aren't making those kind of decisions, but we're out in the world. The point is, it's always going to be a conversation, and the people, uh, whether they're on high level or low level, will be in that conversation and make their decision. Even whether it's man, there was a lot of things mandated. History says that mandates have always been, but here we are, right? Everything continually moves forward. Now, whether people accept it or not, that's a whole different thing. You know, it's always someone making some decision, and then we're in that position where, okay, you know, what you gonna do to make us do it, right? That's just what it is. That's history. This is history. Okay, you can't obfuscate any part of history when it comes to these conversations, and we're talking about the development of certain things that we use or the conversation when it comes to climate change, for example. Uh, but once again, I'm not a scientist. Maybe I'm thinking out too loud. Maybe I have more to learn and listen to. I don't know. I'm just giving my perspective on this.
Or Dr. Dunbar, you muted.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. All right, all right. See, Alonzo's here. I'm trying to wrap up. Alonzo, I'll
We're gonna keep you on for a whole nother hour.
I know. I need to get to the thing. I got other things to do today. All right.
I mean, we're all good, man. It's like, yeah, we're all good, man.
All right. Alonzo sits backstage. I'll go 5 more minutes.
We're gonna give you another hour.
I know that's what I wanted to.
Go ahead. Let's
Zoe for another 3 hours, Dr. Dunbar.
3 hours, yeah. We're gonna give him 3.
I'm gonna fall back. Let Zoe rock.
How's it going? I'll be really brief. Ironically enough, I'm in the market for a vehicle myself, so you know, I unfortunately I was in a meeting, so I was unable to catch the entire stream. It was kind of impromptu. But you know, I want to say in terms of vehicles in general, you know, the EV market has made even fuel economy a really big thing, right? So cars that used to be, you know, your V12s, your V8s, and your V6s are now coming down to 4 cylinders, right? Because we're looking at fuel economy. So we are going closer towards electric style vehicles in the overall scheme of things. Go ahead, Complex.
No, I was going to say turbo. They turboed the smaller motors to get the output and performance of the bigger motors. That's what they're doing. Yeah, they're downsizing the motor and slapping turbos on them. Yeah.
I was looking at right now, a lot of stuff that I'm looking at has the 4-cylinder turbo. And, you know, I think that's definitely quite a cool thing. And Dr. Dunbar actually wanted to speak to you about it. Because I'm in one of those positions where do I get the status car? You know,
get the status car.
You say get the status car?
Well, Lonzo,
get the status car.
You need to ask Ray Alexander. I'm not the one to ask about that.
That's fair enough. Because, you know, Dr. Dunbar has a completely paid for newer vehicle, right? It's not brand spanking new, but it's
wait a minute. Dr. Dunbar, what you got?
No, it's not paid for. I'm still. It's 0% financing.
Oh,
okay.
It's a 2020 Kia Forte complex. So I had my experience with the Kia Boys 3 months ago. So I'm fortunate to still have it because it got stolen. No, it got vandalized. I don't think they can drive stick. So that's
you have a manual?
Yep.
Nice. That's a good theft deterrent right there, man. People can't hardly drive manuals nowadays.
Can't drive stick. That's a super theft deterrent. But yeah, you know, I guess I will talk to Ray Alexander. Everybody's gonna say, get the status car. And unfortunately for me, it's probably a little bit different because I am in sales, so you kind of do have to have the status car.
Yeah, you're in the financial
sector. That's why I'm telling you to get it, dude.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem. I work in the financial sector, so I'm like, yeah, the status car is good, but fiscally, it's really not a good idea. You know, so yeah. No.
Well, I'm gonna say
maybe what you do is you drive the economy car and then just get a nice watch, and then you go, yeah, well, you know, cars, you know, they just get me from point A to point B. But really, I'm into fine watches. See, that's how you do that, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. You can shine on them like that, Lonzo. You know, you flash on them with the A. You say, "Hey, this is being financially sound. This is being financially sound."
just thought I'd throw out there.
Be like, hey, yeah, but this here Rolex.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Just throw that right there. And if you need a recommendation, I would say Oak and Oscar watches. Go look those up, man. Okay. Very Oak and Oscar. Very. Trust me, man. You do some business shit, people.
Oak and Oscar watch. Oh, okay.
I was thinking of that and pulling out a Mont Blanc pen.
And a pen. Yes. That's what I'm saying, dude. The car, redirect it.
Hey, well, I'm gonna tell you guys, you know, I'm into bikes, motorcycles, right? I ride bikes, right? And you know, there's in the bike world, you know, I'm a hard biker. In the bike world, there's a mindset that comes along with that, right? There's a style, there's a character that comes along with riding bikes. I'm correlating this to the conversation of electric. versus the combustible. Okay. Now, when you riding bike, are there electric bikes? Yes.
Yeah.
Motorcycle? Yes, there are. Right. Um, with that being said, the mindset, it goes back to what I said. It's the people thing. People can say, "Oh yeah, we're going to California." They can say, "Oh, we're going to mandate everything be electric." Now, when you in this bike world, well, there's a different conversation. Okay, because um, I ride Harleys, right? Now, Harley is an American thing, supposedly, is an American thing. Now, Harleys is just as American as American pie. You know, when you ride, and there's a style and character that comes along with that. Cali will have a problem with trying to mandate that, okay, because of what comes along with riding Harleys, that perception, that character. And when you have that kind of thing that will rail against you in that, it makes it hard for somebody got to bow. Somebody got to bow. And that's the challenge. Who's going to bow? Even though government says, hey, you got to do this, that, and other, but they say a lot. It comes down to what Lonzo talks about, the financial aspect of it. You know, the government may say, okay, you know what, we're going to let you rock with that oak and that oak and what's that watch?
Okanagan.
Okanagan. We're going to let you rock, you know, because we understand the money that comes along with this. You see, that's what my whole point is, man. It's a people thing, right? You know, especially when, you know, you're out in the world like that. You know, there's things with Harley that you can do that you can't do with a BMW electric bike, right? People's character comes along with these bikes. All right,
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
well, I know Dr. Dunbar wants to shut this down, so I'll kind of throw this out here, and maybe this will kind of bring things to maybe a close. So there's also now a push to bring out e-fuels. Okay, so what an e-fuel is, it's a synthetic fuel, the synthetic
Uh-huh.
gas that goes into a regular car and uses the same systems in a regular car and all that. However, it does not have any emissions, carbon emissions come out of the exhaust pipe.
Uh-huh.
Porsche has been testing with some of their race cars. Right, I'm a huge motorsport dude. I race cars and all that stuff too. Right, so it's like I follow all this kind of crap. That's how I know about all because they bench test it in motorsport before they put it into production. And so e-fuels is now going to be a thing that you're going to see a lot of companies now pushing for. You're having a lot of car companies just saying, you know what, look, man, you know,
Is
you're
that
going to really
E85?
no, not E85. This is called e-fuel. They
Okay, okay.
they refine this stuff in a completely different way because what they actually do is they pull CO2 from the air.
Wow.
And then capture it and then put it into a liquid. Okay.
Is that how related to that is gasohol?
Is who?
Gasohol. Like it's
Gas?
alcoholic gas, or it's alcohol that I the only reason I heard about it from a older dude years ago who was into motorsports.
Yeah, because race cars burn alcohol, but see the problem is that it's the volatility of alcohol. Things like nitro and alcohol, they don't have an emission, but they're volatile. Hydrogen is another one that's volatile, right? That's why the knock on hydrogen is that it's dangerous, right? But you know, Toyota has really good fuel cell technology and all that kind of stuff, right? So I don't know. I think it's doable. I think it's viable. But yeah, e-fuels. So that's the other thing for everybody listening. Dr. Dunbar, especially if you want to also maybe do a follow-up live stream to talk about e-fuels as this new sort of oncomer to the energy market, right? And this is it's like a German conglomerate. Essentially, Porsche's involved. They have some plants already refining this stuff.
Hey, Dr. Dunbar. We got you for an hour, sir.
Okay, we're right at an hour right now. All right,
We
all
got,
right, all right.
we got you for an hour.
I got a hard stop.
We got him. Got him.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Got him.
Go be cold on them, man.
We got Zilla the broadcast.
I'll end right there.
Thank you, Complex.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
you guys
done.
have
I
anything
just
else?
wanted to come up and speak really quickly, so I'll let you close out, Doc.
Thank you, Alonzo. Go, Professor. Anything else?
Nah, brother, we all I had to say is, hey man, appreciate the broadcast and what you do, man. And it's a great conversation, man. Hey,
All right, be safe on
I
those bikes,
appreciate
man.
it. Yeah, indeed, man. I'm getting ready to get out there now.
Braver than me.
Yes, sir.
All right, be safe
right.
out there, bro.
All right, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. All right, gone.
All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate the conversation. I just learned something. I'm going to wind this down. The link to the article I read is in the description box below. That's available online. You can look it up yourself, or you can just click on the link in the description box. Again, this was not to tell anyone what to do or how to spend their money or how to try to protect the environment or not to. It was just information. And as with most things in our society and in media, not all parts of everything are always shared. So this is a complex. It's a multifaceted discussion. And I've had guests on here who are pro electric vehicles. I've had guests on here who are pro biodiesel, and I'm looking to have another guest in a couple of weeks who I believe has an electric vehicle business. So I'm just presenting the information. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Aquatechy, I don't know if I acknowledged your Cash App, but thank you for the Cash App donation. That's much appreciated. And I need to come up with something for you because you always support the channel with your viewership, and you always drop something in the collection plate. Most of you all know I'm a writer. Actually, let me show you this really quickly. I just published this morning, and I'm going to share this on my social media. I did share with you all that I went back to the University of Michigan last week for a symposium. So I just published. Let me slow down. I just published this morning. Which talks about the event in Ann Arbor last week, and I just did a live stream on this somewhat on this on Tuesday. So if any of you want to read this, the link is here. Anyway, I have a newsletter. I'm a writer. I'm always looking for more people to sign up. That's if you read. Not everybody reads today. And someone said that YouTubers, people who watch YouTube, don't read. They just want to see it presented and spoken to them and shared with them via video. But there are some of us out there who still read. There's a 2-paragraph greeting, and then there's a subscription button at the bottom. You just click that, and it takes you there. And I promise I won't give your information away to a third party. The link is in the description box below, but it is also here. Look at these folks coming in just as I'm trying to shut down. Thank you, Telling Stewart Mulatto Preservation LLC for coming through. Really, Chris, thank you for stopping through. I'm wrapping this up. All right, everyone. I have a hard stop. Got some more things to do today. Want to get some exercise is one of them. So thank you to everyone who watched. If you're new, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box. And please, if you're new, please subscribe. I do some short form stuff via the shorts. And I do this long form stuff as well. And I realized today, everything is not for everybody. There are people out there who can only watch for a minute or so. Thank you, TikTok. Anyhow, everyone, as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.